This is the Northwest Tank Line Super Bowl show coming to you from Radio Row, Mandalay Bay Hotel. Of course, Super Bowl LVIII pits the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. Our 23rd time we've been at Radio Row. Woo-woo. And in the last few years, this guy's become a regular and always fun talking to him. Christopher SIMMS.
Whoa.
NBC Sports, of course, Pro Football Talk. I got to go with the Christopher because that's what your dad calls me.
I like it. Well, that's how you know you and I were becoming friends like that. Like, only my closest people in my life call me Christopher. My dad will always he'll hear somebody call me Christopher. I named him Christopher. I didn't name him Chris. And for some reason, when I was little, I was like, damn, my name's so long. I used to just tell people, I'm Chris. I'm Chris. Me and his mom named him Christopher. I don't know why he doesn't do that. So I think a lot of some of his friends always call me Christopher, and then some of my friends have heard everybody call me Christopher, and then they jump on the bandwagon.
It's usually the reverse because parents call you by your full name
when
you've done something bad.
Right.
Full name, middle name, last name, and it's like boom, you're done. I was lucky. I don't have a middle name, so I'd get Boban. That's like my mom talking in Serbian.
Right.
And I'd be like, it wouldn't be good, right? So it'd just be like boom, done. Hey, lot to get into, but it was interesting. I heard you talking with the guys from Tyler.
Right.
And you were talking about a story like when you were a kid watching your dad. Hey, none of this suite business, right? In a 300-level executive suite.
No, right.
You were watching Giants games in the stands.
In the stands.
What was that experience? It was funny because, guys would start ripping your dad. Hey, that's his kid over there.
Yeah, right. I pride myself on being a man of the people, and I feel like that's where it kind of started. As you guys know, right? The NFL, back in the 80s, quarterbacks weren't making, they were making good money, but not now they're in a whole different stratosphere where they can, have other businesses and do whatever and really never have to think about working ever again. So, yeah, we didn't have that kind of money that we were in some suite at Giants Stadium. Nobody did on the Giants football team. There was no family that had a suite like that. So I sat in section 236 on the mezzanine level. I like to sit up a little higher so I could see the field and really see the game. And it's New York, and New York leads the world in jerks. It doesn't matter, and I'm one of them, so I can say that. But yes, and so, there'd always be somebody in our section getting on my dad, saying things, whatever, and you learn to get some thick skin and deal with it. And every now and then a man would stand up and be like, hey, these are his family down here, right? But that was few and far between. But, hey, it's part of it, and it's certainly more good than bad came out of all that stuff.
Hey, forget about that. The part of the story you talked about, hey, Dad, you missed that guy down the middle.
Yeah. I like to sit up there, and I'd, get on him after the game, especially if I got older.
Yeah.
And I got older, and I was the kind of kid at 4 years old, knew every player in the NFL, their number, everything about him. That's just who I was. So I don't think my dad would ever be shocked that I'm in this business now and doing what I do. But he knew I do the game, and he would legitimately, when I would be 9 and 10 years old, we'd get in the car after the game, and he'd go, what did you think? Did you think I missed anybody, during the game a little bit? And I'd be like, there was that one play I saw a guy going down the middle of the field, and, he'd talk about it or tell me what he saw. Great experiences, really. A lot of cool things. Of course, some tough things, too. New York Post saying your dad sucks or something like that on a Monday morning, but still way more good than bad.
You can just hear the passion in your voice. It's something that you've always had, and now you've transferred it from playing into Pro Football Talk and with NBC, man. You never get sick of talking football.
I don't. I love it. I love football because it's endless. It's endless in the schematical things you can do and the creativity and how you can unpack that. And then I also think it's the most psychological sport there is as well. And I love that, how you handle pressure, how you process things on the football field. So, I really love studying and I love talking about it.
Hey, I listened to Pro Football Talk. I watched it, you and Florio. I think it was a conference champion. You guys were talking about, your man caves, the garage, chicken wings.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I love this. These guys are right in my wheelhouse. Forget about cover. We hear enough of the X's and O's. What are you going to do against cover two man when they rotate this guy?
Right.
You guys are talking about real guy stuff.
We try to start the show out every day to be a little bit let's talk life and, with it encompassing football. right? And then, yeah, we're both obsessed with the sport. The conference championship game, it was the first Sunday, Florio and I didn't have to work the whole year, right? There was no game on NBC. So we were so excited to be able to sit on the couch like a normal football fan and, have a few drinks. And I did have a lot of, wings and some good stuff throughout the day. And I enjoyed it. Yeah, we tried to have fun.
What's in the SIMMS garage?
The SIMMS
Now, hold on. Is it like a real garage, or is this thing like a pimped up extra part of the house?
No. So I am like, I live in an old farm. I live in a farm that's 300 years old. The house was built in 1724, right? I had Revolutionary soldiers in my family room. Redcoats. Because the guy that built the house was an Englishman who had moved to Greenwich, Connecticut. So the barn I live in is the oldest barn in Greenwich, Connecticut. It is not sexy or pretty. My wife has cleaned it up a little bit. We have a couch in there. We have a big TV. We got a refrigerator in there. But you got to make a fire to warm it up in the summer. I mean, in the winter. It's not like insulated. I don't have any heating system. So it's kind of old school. But I love it because I can go out there. I like to smoke a little.
Cigars?
Well, I call them daddy cigars. They're a.k.a. marijuana. So I like to do that. And I can feel not bad about blowing it into my house when I'm out in the barn, right?
You should come to Vancouver then. You'd have a hell of a time, my friend.
Everybody tells me that, and that is on my bucket list for sure, Vancouver. I mean, the pictures I always see of Vancouver are incredible.
Do you know what's crazy? Like, we were talking about the transformation, and what have you been in the industry now, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I'm about 10 years now.
Yeah, so,
right.
This is my, as I mentioned, 23rd, but dude, you got guys now walking around talking about their cannabis products. LeGarrette Blount is here every year. Other guys as well. And then back in the day, you could not get on if you wanted to find out, hey, what's a prop bet or not or whatever. You couldn't access gambling sites through the NFL Wi-Fi
You better call
system.
Johnny the bookie.
Yeah, you'd have to go on your own phone. Now they've got monstrous FanDuel sets, DraftKings, you name it. It's transformed so much.
It's incredible. When I got in the NFL and drafted in 2003, gambling was such a no-no and all of that. And here we are now just embracing it and publicizing it and do it more. It is totally – the sport has exploded, I think, in the last 20 years. And some of that is because of fantasy football and the gambling and all of that. But, I notice it everywhere I go from people from all over the world. I live very close to New York City, right? So, I was just telling somebody, I got Spanish people, right? People from Ireland who are kind of learning football, but they're like, this is amazing. I'm really enjoying doing this. And it seems like it's gaining popularity everywhere.
Patrick Mahomes versus Brock Purdy. I know you love the quarterbacks. It's the position you played at the college and NFL level. I don't know if you can stop Mahomes, but how do you try to neutralize him? I shouldn't even say neutralize, but contain him.
Yeah, they got to do – well, first off, the 49ers, where this is – to me, I'm still shocked the 49ers are favored, all right? The 49ers have not played – they might have peaked too early. That's, to me, one of the psychological things here I'm interested to see. They haven't played real good football since early December. Can they change that in 2 weeks off here and going into the Super Bowl? I don't know. Maybe they can. Right? But they were outplayed in both playoff games and really probably should have lost both of those games. The Chiefs, on the other hand, like you're talking about here, right, played B-minus football the whole year and then got to the end of the season. We're like, we're going to go look like a championship team now. And that does not happen. Like, teams don't just turn a switch on in professional football and then go, we're going to be clean and play perfect and execute now. It's incredible what we're seeing. And, of course, it feels like they are towards their peak play. And I don't know what the 49ers are going to do. They're going to have to change some things. The biggest thing with the 49ers right now, and I think to contain, you're not going to stop Mahomes, but you got to be a little unpredictable. And that, to me, is where, they have a scheme. They're a little bit of a defense of we do what we do. And if you do that against Mahomes and Reed, they're going to march right down the field on the first drive and score a touchdown and put the pressure on you that way. So what I would say is curveballs, things they haven't prepared for, and you've watched enough football the last 2 weeks, there's too much space in the 49ers defense. They got to be a little bit more aggressive. Dabble in some man-to-man more, and I do think dabble with blitzing a little bit more. This is their worst defense they've had in their 4 NFC championship games. Like they've been at 4 of the last 5 NFC Championship games. This is their second Super Bowl. This is the worst defense they've had in that run.
We talked to Brian Baldinger from the NFL Network, another one of our good friends here.
Yeah.
He says Purdy's got to make 5 big throws in this game.
I don't disagree. I love Baldy. Baldy's the man. He's like me. He's obsessed with watching. I won't say throws. I'll say plays. Like, to me, whether it's a scramble like we saw against the Lions where it's 3rd and 11 and he can make a big scramble, yeah, I would say so. I feel like the 49ers are going to have to steal one possession somehow, some way. Like, if the game plays out status quo, right, no turnovers, clean on both sides, all that, man, that just feels like it's a Mahomes late game win that way.
We always talk about this at every level, but
right.
you know this as well as I do. Most coaches will tell you there's 3, 4, 5 big plays in a game.
Right.
You're on the right side of those 5 big plays, and as just you mentioned there, if you're on the right side of that, you'll be winning it. Hey, very quickly before we let you go, Chris, Mahomes, if he wins this one, is he on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks?
I'm not so sure he's not there already. Like,
yeah.
They're the only one I can really, and again, I think his talent is maybe the greatest talent in the history of football. I mean, we've never seen anybody like Mahomes, let alone he gets into the league in his first year, they're just like, we're going to ride you. That doesn't happen either. Like, where they just make a young quarterback and go, he's the squad. We're going to let him carry us. We'll go from there, right? That's odd. He's special. To me, yeah, Brady's ahead of him, but he's in the Brady-Manning
Montana.
He's right there with those guys. He is already an all-time great. He is already one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in the history of football. For him to be 6, conference championships in a row, that's insane. I mean, again, Brady was amazing, and he didn't get to his 6-1 to the 12th year in the league, right? And I think that gives you a little bit of a flavor there.
Christopher, great stuff. One day
you.
we will tell you a great story about your dad phoning into TSN 1040 back in the day, which is a great, great clip. I'll tell you off the air because we don't have time.
Okay.
We got to let you run.
I always like to hear good stories on Dad, but thanks for having me.
Great stuff, my friend. Always in good continued success with Pro Football Talk and with NBC Sports.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.